what's it like? Because you mentioned this earlier, you like the peddling part of it as much as you like the farming part of it. I want to hear some about that. So once oysters have been grown to the appropriate size, and I'm assuming you size them, right? Do you size them before you harvest them? I think I'm trying to remember things from the last one that we did.
Yeah.
So
when do you
pull yours? Yeah. When do you pull yours?
So, we mentioned salinity. I know that's a part of it.
Yep. So salinity is a part of it. Size is an important part of it. They used to go off the rule 3-2-1, 3 inches long, 2 inches wide, and 1 inch deep. And that's pretty much a good solid oyster in that shell.
Okay.
But I've gotten to where, since I've been doing it on year 3 now, I can look at the oyster. I've got some that look like a golf ball. I mean, they're that round. So I know when you pop this sucker open, it's going to have a big hunk of meat in it. And it doesn't get anywhere close to 3 inches long or 2 inches wide.
It's a big gumball.
It's a big gumball, man. It's a giant gumball. And it's like, I wish I could figure out how to grow that, because that's a cool thing. I call it my golf balls. You know what I mean? So it really doesn't, I don't go off of 3 inches, 3-2-1.
So you just go off seeing multiple oysters.
If it's got a deep cup, which is the depth of the oyster, if it's got a deep cup, man, I know what the meat looks like in it, and I'll harvest that sucker. Now, I can tell you, as it gets cold, when it gets bitter cold out there, I tell people that go out with me from time to time, I say, these oysters grow when it's cold like that. They grow big time. So that means it's freezing me to death. And if it's close, it's harvested.
I got you. I was trying to put the science behind it. Like,
I'm about to say, because they've been growing this week pretty good.
He's like,
really don't. That's a good enough one. Throw it in. We're getting out of here.
That's exactly right. If you like it, I love it type thing. You know what I mean? So when it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
And I'm not a third generation salty guy, so I'm kind of the first generation that's salty, so I'm having to learn a lot of this stuff as I go.
Okay.
And but everybody out there, there's plenty of market for every farmer out there, so nobody's really competing at all.
Right.
There's no, hey, your oyster's prettier than mine. Well, you might have spent a little more time with yours. And what market are you trying to appeal to? I want to feed the people that live in the area, and that's why I'm selling it to local folks and not restaurants, and at this point, and not sending them up the East Coast. I could go after the money, and I could send them up the East Coast and probably get $1.50 a piece for these things. But look, I love the peddling part, like you said. Because here's the deal: they start off with a text. I have to tell them.
I didn't peddle anything. You just told me a price and I paid it. I didn't know there was peddling involved.
Yeah, you could have negotiated the price.
Man. I don't know about the price.
Right. How about $20?
But it's one of those things. I get to meet people. And that's one thing, getting out of the corporate world, that I missed. When I see somebody at the grocery store, I want to give them 20 minutes. If they want to talk, I want to talk to them for 20 minutes. And that's one thing that I've been able to capture over the past year and a half of getting out of the corporate world is, if I see Joey or you guys in the store and we want to talk for a few minutes, let's talk. Let's not look at a watch and be in a hurry.
I'm not nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. And that forces a lot of my friends and I to meet up on Friday because they bought oysters. I'll talk to them for 15, 20 minutes or whatever the case is, and they go on. Our paths are forced to cross.
Right. That's awesome.
And that's a cool thing. I love that part.